And welcome to our open showcase on the second day, the close of the second day for the 2024 New Zealand Ultimate Championships Division 1 here in Waitangi Park. My name, as always, is Blem, and I'm joined in the booth by our very special guest commentators. We have Austin Clark here and Nick Panu. Say hi, folks. Tell us what we're looking for in a match like this.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the best in New Zealand Ultimate Opens Division, and these two teams are put together using the best players from every region. And we're always going to see a good matchup. Nick, what are you excited to see?
Well, Austin, Taniwha are the New Zealand men's team. They're early in their campaign, so they haven't really had much time to gel. And they're playing in a showcase game, and what the crowd wants are big throws, big layouts, big plays, something exciting, and we're getting that already with Nick Whitlock getting the disc underneath.
So the Taniwha team are playing out of the dark uniform, if I'm not mistaken, so they're looking towards the right-hand side of your screen. At the moment, we're facing off against the Barbarians in light. And as you say, we're looking for some of those big throws, those big dynamic plays, which might be less safe ultimate than we expect to see a team like Taniwha put on display on the world stage. So it could very well be a balance between big, dynamic, explosive work from the Barbarians and then something a little bit crisper and more precise from the Taniwha. But we are going to see a turnover relatively early in that first point. It's going to be Barbarians pushing towards the left-hand side of your screen now.
Big bit there from Tony Clark to try and save that disc. Wasn't quite able to get it. Barbarians now with a chance to put it in the other end, show us what they've got. They'll be playing, most of these players have not played together.
Big shot goes up. Tony Clark under it for the defense. Able to do enough to put off the offender who...
I mean, Bruno Barnes is a pretty appetizing target in a deep space. I mean, he's towering over just about everybody else on the field. Great work by Clark to get up underneath that one.
Exactly right.
Lee Yo now going to pick up the disc, a very veteran handler for the Taniwha.
I'll be interested to see if Taniwha have any
Nick Whitlock
moves.
always ready to unleash it. And Liam Haberfield able to comfortably bring that in just shy of the end zone.
Oh, and then he's decided to throw something a little too spicy.
He was looking for Fitzpatrick Cockram in the end zone, was not able to find him. I mean, and we know as well that Liam Haberfield has just recently come back from a stint over in Atlanta, Georgia, playing for the Hustle in the AUDL, who have recently rebranded to the UFA. They use a lot of those kind of mechanics, also trusting that they have a wider field. So we see a lot of sort of quick movement off the back of receptions that are outside the end zone.
Oh, another turnover here. Taniwha get another chance at the end zone. Liam Haberfield picking the disc up. He's looking for something. He's got Nick Whitlock back in the centre of the field. He carries on to Fitzpatrick Cockram on the far side.
Cam Bennett aggressive on the defense, forcing the disc to come back towards the sideline.
Nick Whitlock able to bring that in, and now he sends it into the end zone for a beautifully weighted pass to Lee Yo. You could tell they were on exactly the same page there.
So that is going to open up our match for us, folks. What a delight. It's an open showcase, and there are three of us in the booth. There's 1.5 times as much energy as we've been bringing you all day. Great work by Taniwha to put that one on the board, and realistically, as strong as the Barbarians line are, that's kind of what you'd expect to see. Taniwha is the side that New Zealand is looking to send to the world stage a little bit later on in New Zealand. The World Ultimate Championships are going to be held in the Gold Coast in Australia. It's only a matter of months, really, before we see these Taniwha players head just across the pond to really bring it to the rest of the world.
And we're hoping they're going to bring it well. They've definitely a good-looking squad. The trials this year, the selections were very intense. A lot of the players on this Barbarian side could easily be playing for Taniwha themselves. They really brought it and made things quite difficult. I know the coach, Gary Jarvis, had a lot of trouble and ended up picking a larger squad than he originally intended, just because of the depth of quality of players in New Zealand.
And I mean, when you think about it, there's a benefit to that as well. Yes, you have a larger squad. You might be reducing the play time for individuals throughout the course of a tournament, throughout the course of an entire campaign. But the benefit of that is that you have those extra legs. You're allowing yourself to rest those players in select matches. It opens up a lot of strategic sort of meta-level thinking for the coaching and for the team throughout that campaign. It's going to be really, really exciting to be able to follow that from here at home in Aotearoa.
Absolutely, and it gives you a little bit of insurance against injuries that will crop up in the campaign to get to that world stage.
Now, Taniwha, the Barbarians are on offense. Oh, big shot being put up here.
He's on his train.
Oh.
Huge bid. Sends his body flying, unable to bring that disc in, though, unfortunately.
That was a spectacular play. The kind of plays we were looking to see here. We're just hoping a few more of them will come to hand.
Those look like genuine Acme Roadrunner clouds of dust coming off the back of his feet on that one. A testament as much to the speed as to the conditions. The ground is quite dry and hard. Players are going to be punishing their bodies a little bit, playing with the level of intensity, but it's fantastic to see those energy levels maintaining throughout the tournament.
Yes, it's been a reasonably dry summer down here, and I think we've had about 2 days of rain in the last 3 months. The fields are in spectacular condition for considering that, but it is a great day to look good by bringing up a big cloud of dust as you make for your bids on the field.
Robertson and Bordsworth working in the upfield space for Taniwha.
Ooh, Bordsworth getting his body involved, just out-muscling his defender there to bring in that upline shot, swinging it comfortably to Waller. A very dangerous long throw, but also a very smart player, not going to take too risky of options. Now we've got Ryan Sheridan with the disc. Taniwha looking very comfortable moving the disc in their back space with just about everyone on the line, a very comfortable handler.
One of the things that I really do like to see in a situation like this is Bordsworth runs it down with a great read tracking across the field. Is just how Taniwha, despite the fact that you've got these players who have these amazing abilities, put huge shots up. Crazy layout there to keep possession alive for Taniwha. So they're playing relatively safe and clinical ultimate.
Yeah, and this is one of the problems, having played in this game myself. You want to play clinical ultimate because that's the way you're going to play at the World Championships, but the crowd wants you to throw something crazy. And those two factors will be playing off in their minds. You'll see a bit of both. That was a lovely clinical point from Taniwha, the way they want to be playing through the rest of their campaign.
He's literally doing the gritty. Bordsworth with a cheeky post-score celebration. Taniwha up by 2. We have seen some really, really precise work from Taniwha, but as you say, Nick, it would be great to see something a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more creative, particularly when you've got that little bit of a 2-point cushion. But the flip side of that, of course, and I'm sure you'll agree, Austin, is that when you've got teams of this depth, and Nick was very quick to highlight that a lot of these players on the Barbarian side could have easily been on the cusp of selection for Taniwha, you can't really afford to give up any cushion that you have.
Absolutely. The Barbarians are going to be looking to, as a wider New Zealand community, really push this Taniwha team, push them to their limits so that they have that high-level practice going into the world stage.
And I mean, it might be interesting as well to see if there are any players on the Barbarian side who are maybe a little bit sour about missing that selection. Are they hoping to use this showcase as an opportunity to say, hey, maybe the coaches and selectors should take another look at things? And realistically, even though the team is already set, those Barbarians players using this as an opportunity to kind of pad that resume for themselves, it's a huge sort of point of pride for them as well.
It must also be said, a number of the Barbarians players are playing on the New Zealand mixed team, Manuka, at the World Championships, so they are in training and they are at the same sort of level and will be facing the same sort of competition.
I believe that's Bruce Ing with the pull. And fielded by Jordy Tan out of Auckland.
Finds Hamilton. Will Hamilton as Rutan immediately initiates a deep cut.
Barbarians looking really nice moving the disc up that open side. Their cuts are aggressive and sharp. They're getting open in the downfield. That's making the throws easy for them.
The energy being displayed here is incredible considering the amount of play time they've had throughout this tournament. That was a lovely point by the Barbarians, showing that they can also play safe and simple offense.
Pash with a very respectful spike fake there. But again, Rutan, Jordan Tan, Pash, they're 3 great players, particularly in the downfield space for our Group Volume 1 side, who we've seen put that on great display throughout the course of this tournament. The flip side being a lot of their counterparts as well. We see Lee Yo, we see Bruce Ing, we see Ben Waller as well. So there's a lot of great depth on these teams individually, but also there's that ability to read your own teammates when they're opposition or in opposition to you. And it'll be really great to see throughout the course of this match how that unfolds, how those ability, that knowledge of your other players starts to impact the way you play defense and offense against one another.
100%. New Zealand being a relatively small Ultimate community, all these players are very familiar with each other. They know their matchups. They know exactly how it's going to go down. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to intensity and desire in the moment.
So we're going to see Cam Bennett with the disc to pull for the Barbarians, supported by Bruno Barnes, Joe Panaya by the looks, Tyler Hogg as well. Some really powerful stalwarts from the central region and northern region on that side, which is just fantastic to see. I think Finn McKenzie as well representing for Brightside. Huge pull goes up, well over the commentary tent, so we're going to hope to track it as it comes back in.
And not even close. Truly a disappointing effort.
Cam Bennett with the Family Guy fake injury. He must have pulled something on that because it certainly wasn't the disc. We are going to see Tyler T-Top Smith bring that back to the brick mark, 18 meters in front of the defensive end zone to initiate. He's supported by Nick Whitlock with a very friendly, gentlemanly handshake against Finn McKenzie there. Michael Downey starting that initiation cut.
Nick Whitlock using those long arms and then firing a deep shot to Robertson, who absolutely loves running those down.
Robertson is normally the one throwing them, so being on the other end is probably a little bit unusual for him. He still figured out how to go into the end zone. Good on him.
I mean, whether it's been a while or not, it's you got to recognize, knowing Nick Whitlock, if you don't go deep for him, he will have words for you later.
This is absolutely correct.
I wonder if Lockie Robertson just had to think, this is just like an undercut, this is just like an undercut, but just kind of turned himself around and hit it with the exact same intensity, run that disc down. What a beautiful score to put Taniwha up 3 over the Barbarians 1. They're going to come out on defense. We'll have a little bit more information for you a little bit later as to the length of this game, what our score cap that we're playing to is.
And while earlier we talked about Taniwha wanting to play fairly clean and clinical offense, when you have Nick Whitlock and Liam Haverfield on the field, clean and clinical often involves some great throws still.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, both of them based out of the Wellington region. It's one of the windiest cities in the world. They're used to throwing in all kinds of conditions, and I think even when conditions aren't super windy, those intangibles, those things they've picked up and developed from throwing in the wind, that really fine, precise control over the edge of the disc, it does an amazing work of giving you just really pinpoint precision on the discs when you're putting them up.
Now Joe Panay is getting the disc in the middle of the field, supported by Elliot Mance.
Great work to find McFarlane on the near sideline with a big touch by Haverfield, brings it out of bounds.
Saw that one coming a mile away and just gobbled it up.
He just stood there and said no.
Working with Ben Waller.
Haverfield putting a throw up nice and high for his receiver, who loves to get him up there. You'll remember from the Hammertron versus Dogma game earlier in the day. Oh, and a huge ups from Charles Patterson, getting about as high as someone who's got about a foot of altitude on him, Tyler Hogg. But the disc sails over both of them to give another chance to the Barbarians.
Truly the Shaquille O'Neal of New Zealand Ultimate, just dominant in that deep space. We're seeing a side stack set up, so looking for a big flood across the field to try and create an opening for the Barbarians to answer back with a point.
A little bit of confusion in the cutting there. Again, Barbarian team don't know each other, but they still got the disc. Still with a chance to work it up. This is Elliot Mance now playing.
One of the youngest players on the field, but nonetheless, having played for quite a long time in the New Zealand Ultimate community, actually does have quite a few years of experience under his belt.
Readings not able to connect with McFarlane on the reset to give Rutan a nice quick through shot for Clark for the score.
That was maybe Charles Patterson throw there. Is that Charles or is that Rue?
I think that Honestly, you see a short black haircut pushing deep towards the offensive end zone. It's hard to tell them apart. I think that might actually be Charles Patterson. Maybe he just doesn't have a dark kit on him. But it's the only thing he's left behind because I haven't seen him drop a disc all weekend. So, yes, I think you're right. That is going to be a Charles Patterson assist. Fantastic work by the Taniwha to open up the score, bringing it 4-1.
Barbarians, you saw a little bit of miscommunication there, just a result of maybe not quite having the any training at all behind their squad that's put together today. But nonetheless, you're gonna see this team look to make the highlight reel at the bare minimum.
And that's exactly what they're going to look to do now. I know if I was playing on that Barbarian team, we've had a turnover in the backfield. Let's make it down the other end. Put a bit of excitement. You never know. Let your players get out there and show their skills. And get the crowd up on their feet.
So we are about to see the Barbarians come back down on defense. Really, really strong defensive line here from Taniwha. Liam Haberfield as well. I mean, after that great just shut down on that near sideline, I couldn't even see him behind our cameraman. All I saw was the audible thunk of the disc and it shoot out towards the sideline. So true stealth.
Big pull out of Lockie Robertson, and it looks like Taniwha are looking to run a zone defense. See what Barbarians can do to the zone defense and really get a bit of practice in that look under their belts.
Mercer to Moore over the top with a hammer.
And Barbarians starting out looking very comfortable in this zone offense. Ooh, he floats one out a little bit there, and Ollie Taylor gets a bit of a sniff. Not quite enough.
Slowly working around the zone. Just textbook offense.
Oh, and Jordy Tan finds space. And brings it down in the face of Haberfield.
Crosby lets off a rocket on that near sideline. What a beautiful throw there. It's going to bring us back to a 4-2 game, only a 2-point margin, which is quite impressive against the best of the best.
Barbarians having just done a pretty stellar job working through a zone defense from the Taniwha.
Now, all day there's been no wind, not even a breath. There is actually a breath of wind now, but it's a bare breath, the lightest of breaths, and it wasn't enough to help the zone there. The Barbarians were able to keep playing, as they had been playing all day, nice and cool and calm.
As far as the scale of 0 to 10 on wind goes for Wellington, I'd still call it a 0.
The scale is twitching like it wants to move.
Yeah.
Just enough to cool you down on a nice hot day.
So just a bit of an update for the folks who are watching at home. It looks like we're playing to no score cap. We've just got an hour on the clock, and the team that is ahead when we hit that 60-minute cap is going to be the one that wins. Now, at the moment, that's Taniwha, but it's still only a 2-point game. So a lot could happen in the next 43 minutes.
Now we're seeing Ryan Sheridan and Tyler Titov-Smith, a couple of old buddies. They spend a lot of time in the backfield together across every single team that they play on. You'll see them look very comfortable with one another.
Now it's good to see Barbarians answering with a zone of their own as well.
Yeah, this is great. Taniwha haven't had a chance to play together against this sort of situation. It's good to see what kind of natural connections they'll be able to have. And also just make them play a bit differently. So far, so good. A lot of the back three have all played together on Wildcats a number of times, which will help their natural connections. Oh, a little bit too spicy with the hammer across field there. Tyler Titov-Smith not able to bring that one in.
Uncharacteristic, but it is exactly what the Barbarians were hoping for with that zone defense. We're going to see how they respond coming back towards the left-hand side of your screen.
Rutan catching the disc in the center of the field. Over to Pash. Pash sends it downfield for a big gainer to Darren Leishman.
Oh, spicy throw from Darren Leishman.
Darren Leishman going for an ambitious break throw, but just gets stuck on his finger and hits the turf.
Would be really interesting to see if that throw had how that throw would have played out if it had gone as he'd intended. But it looks like instead we're just going to see Taniwha getting aggressive with it as they hit the red zone, despite a great attempt at a swat there from the Barbarians.
Lovely interplay there between Lee Yo and Tyler Tito Smith. Just really changed the face of the game, changed the point of attack constantly, and the defense was just scrambling. It's nice to see those sorts of connections already if you're a New Zealand fan looking ahead to the World Championships.
And it's one of those things, I think, Nick, what we typically see is people are very, very quick to celebrate the person who threw the assist and the person who got the score. So in that case, it was Swinson to
Andy Fitzpatrick
Cochran. Thank you very much. But again, that opportunity was created by, as you say, the really great work, very clinical, patient, swinging backwards and forwards between Tyler Tito Smith and Lee Yo. So it's one of those things, the stat lines typically go to 1 or 2 players at a time, but it's important to recognize that, yes, it's still a team sport. Every golden opportunity has been framed and prepared for by 7 people working in all but perfect cohesion.
Absolutely right. As one of those unsung players, I think all 3 of us had that in our playing times.
Well, you two certainly will have.
We know it takes everyone on the field in order for a point to be scored. Even if you're standing still, that could have been your job.
Taniwha now showing the depth of their D-line with a bunch of fresh faces out there. You've got Dan Aldridge in number 44, Ryan Sheridan on the mark now, Bruce Ng also playing tight defense. And Barbarians maybe looking to shoot it deep.
Oh, it was a good matchup down here. Oh,
an unlikely result of that matchup there.
Cooper over Owen's son.
Unbelievable by the Barbarians. They'll feel quite good about that one, looking back on this game.
I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, was that a Campbell Jordan long shot?
That's the exciting play we've been looking for.
That was a beautiful shot. We're going to get to see that in. Who put that one up?
I think you might be right.
I have to say that if I'm looking downfield and I see Owen's son as the matchup on my receiver, I probably holster that throw.
Yeah.
But props to the Barbarians for launching it anyways and coming down with it.
Yeah,
Not an easy task.
I'm going to think twice, and then I'm going to think again, and hopefully still have a reset option by the time we're at stall 8. What a throw. And then for Cooper to come down with it.
Read it absolutely perfectly. Owen's son did have to kind of look into the sun slightly as he was coming to read that. Could have been a factor in putting him off. The other factor is sometimes people get a reputation they never get thrown to. They forget how to play the defense because they've never had to do these sorts of things. So it's good to test people out. You never know if they're still as good as they're still able to do what they did before.
And it's one of those things as well, trying to keep in mind the sheer volume of information that is in the minds of a person at the moment of releasing their throw. They recognized Owen's son was deep. They recognized which direction the sun is coming from. How much impact did that have into the decision? I know he's not going to be able to get the read on this as quickly as Josh will, based solely on the direction that they're playing in.
Joe Panaya sending a big pull down towards the Taniwha, who center the disc. And start their offensive work. Lockie Robertson bringing in kind of an imperfect throw into the downfield. But that's why you have talented players to bail out the imperfect throws. Waller with the discs, sends it over to Robertson, knows how to shoot it. Waller making an excellent cut in the handler space to get open with momentum. And Taniwha happy right now to just use their handlers to create opportunities. Slowly inching their way up the field. Not really worried about the lack of motion in their downfield.
So far, the offense has been uncomplicated, but effective.
A nice upline look there. And there it is.
Jack Ketty puts it away to widen the score even further. Taniwha 6 over the Barbarians 3.
Once again, Taniwha will be very happy their handlers have that connection naturally. There's 3 players from who haven't played together much, who just naturally seem to find the right spaces and know where to look for each other.
And as a downfield, when you see your handlers with such strength back there, you can honestly just hang back and try not to get in their way.
and then take the glory with a nice point.
That's right, that's right.
Nice cut at the right moment to score the point.
As we just saw with Jack Ketty there. Relaxing, watching those handlers work, and then at the right moment, cutting into the end zone.
Great little half pivot backhand from Hugo Swinson. We're seeing a lot more of that as we watch the evolution of Ultimate, the development of it, particularly in the American club space and on the international scene. Moving away from that really strict, aggressive, hard pivot, throwing the backhand. It's coming back a lot more to the shoulders, to the hips, and a lot more sort of joint movement to create those little windows and just the ability to control the disc through. Which is just fantastic for the sport as a whole, because we're seeing players better able to exploit smaller windows. It keeps things interesting, it keeps things dynamic, and it's just really good to watch that rising tide lift all ships.
Absolutely, you're right in noticing the depth of throws that come out of each player's pocket has just been expanding over the years. Huge pull with a dramatic fielding by Pash. Nearly pays the price for it as he gives a wobbly little biscuit out to his dump, and the disc goes long for a huge matchup in the sky. Lucas Wilcock doing enough to keep that disc out of the hands of the streaking deep Pash.
It was exciting. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to bring it down. Oh, some tall timber there.
I think Pash having to turn around to get the read on that, backpedaling a little bit, whereas Wilcock was able to jump with all of his momentum. Just gave him that clearance to get a touch on it. Jordan Tan!
Taking one in the stomach. He could have been cut in half by that throw from Charles Patterson.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, it goes from the bread basket. That interception was the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know what to tell you.
Jordy Tan might not be thrilled about getting that D in that particular fashion. Charles Patterson is going to really think about where he's placing these throws.
I think Jordan Tan might be asking some questions of Charles. Do you actually like me after this?
I mean, they've been known to be just great teammates with a lot of chemistry, but after that, well, you know what? You got to give credit, because Jordy Tan can be quite a sneaky defender, and in that instance, he was so sneaky he couldn't even be seen.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Tan just threw the disc straight at Charles Patterson, but decides to play it clean.
He's decided that scoring the point for the Barbarians is worth more than vengeance.
The score is now 6-4. What a beautiful work finding Miller Mercer on a great cut towards that front far corner. And we're just checking to make sure Jordan Tan's still intact.
Sure enough, he's looking stronger than ever.
And folks, that's why we do our core workouts.
You never know when a teammate's just going to take a little bit of offense and decide to test out how well you've been working on your core.
We see it again. Oh! I mean, that's the peril, right? It's such a great block. We didn't manage to catch it the way we would have liked on the camera because we were tracking where the disc was going to be. And Jordan Tan says no.
And there's also regulations on violence for what we can show on the stream, so that would be another reason we can't replay that too many times.
Yeah, just casual disembowelment on our stream might be a violation of guidelines, as you say.
Both teams now having a bit of fun, getting a laugh out there.
Smiling through the pain.
At the end of the day, they are mostly friends across both these teams.
And back to serious business as the Barbarians are going to come out on defense now. Some really solid defensive players that we're seeing here. Tyler Hogg again, Manny Taiapa, Joe Penaya Smith, Bruno Barnes, Rory Moore.
Liam Haberfield and Nick Whitlock in the backfield. Sending it to Peter Bordsworth, who sends a long shot to a favorite receiver of his, Owen Sun. Rips it down out of the sky just outside the end zone. Let's see how the Taniwha can support him.
Bordsworth again has it.
And Lockie's almost inside the end zone. Once again, just a tad short. And Peter Bordsworth does the work to shimmy free. Scores again at the front end zone.
He's what are we doing to Gwitty? One more time. I mean, did any of the other Taniwha players touch the disc on that point, lads?
Well, Nick and Liam did a good job of just taking the first pass and then walking around the field, which,
Well,
again, is a vital role.
As you've said, sometimes your job is to stand there on the field and look pretty.
Taniwha looking to send out a strong D-line here. On the D-line, you often have hungry players, maybe with something to prove. So let's see if we get a little bit of that out of some of the younger members of this Taniwha squad.
In all seriousness, this is one time when they can say, look at me, coach, and playing against some actual quality opposition. When they want to get more game time when it comes to Worlds. Show that they can play the right way in this situation, and Coach Gary will definitely be looking at them favourably later on.
Here you can see we've got a packed sideline. The stands, if you can call them that, are chock full.
Stands, sits, whomst can say. Haberfield with the pull for the Taniwha. They are currently up by 3. We've just passed into the second half of this match. So a conventional ultimate match would be looking to play to 15. Our halftime would happen at the first team reaching 8 points. But here we're just playing a flat hour. The score is Taniwha up by 3.
Liam Haberfield putting that pull high and into the sun, making it very difficult to field. But the Barbarians letting it hit the ground and then getting their offense moving. Rutan doing a lot of work in the handler space at the moment.
Just picking open that midfield. Whitlock calling a switch.
Elliot Mann's also back there, receiving the disc now, keeping things active. Taking that safe option there. Downfield progress is good. And the big rip goes up. It's trailing away. Let's see who tracks it down here.
Yeah, peeling too close towards that near sideline.
Going to have to put a little bit more mustard on it if you're going to give your receiver a chance against Liam Haberfield and double coverage. Ryan Sheridan itching to throw the around backhand, but forced to take a smarter option in an upline to Nick Whitlock.
Nick Whitlock could not believe quite how open he was in that situation. Yeah, Ryan, he loves that around backhand. Sometimes too much maybe, but
he really wanted to send it to the far side of the field.
He knows what the crowd wants.
He does. He's always been a crowd pleaser.
One of the good things about the small community in New Zealand is that almost everyone knows everyone, and I can tell you for sure people on the sidelines from both teams will be heckling their own players and players on the opposite teams, which may, some of the decisions you see out in the field could be influenced by that. We hope mentally they're strong enough to not have to take that sort of thing from their fellow players.
I mean, while it would be a great testament to see Taniwha really focus out the audience and dial in onto their own game, are you really an ultimate player if you ignore a sideline calling for a crossfield hammer, especially when you're when the game is close?
No, you got to let them rip.
Maybe that's just me, right?
The teasing the audience is always a fun time as well. Oh, am I?
Big hammer fakes, yeah. 3 big fakes and then a nice 3-meter backhand for a reset. Got to keep them on the edge of their seat, folks. They're not paying for it, so they don't need to use the whole thing.
Let them know that they don't control you, but you are listening.
So it's a little unsure as whether or not they've taken that as though it were a timeout. The information that we've received to tell you that it is a 90-minute game could be a little subjective. It could certainly be subject to change. Either way, they're going to be taking some sort of break, whether or not it's just a conventional timeout, or they're looking to actually follow the sort of conventions of Ultimate, where we hit that 8-point cap. The team that came out on offense in the first half now comes out on defense in the second half, and swapping ends to just provide that little bit of assurance against any inconsistencies and things like wind or other conditions.
Barbarian players just sprinting out to see who can get on the line first, which is great to see. They're all very keen to play. I don't know if them being on offense has influenced how fast they ran to the line.
I mean, it's very rare that you see people running out to take part on a defensive point. That's one of the perils of playing a lot of defense is that really, your job is to get beaten over and over and not lose heart. I think even some of the best defenders in New Zealand, yes, they're phenomenal athletes, they're fantastic players, their reaction speed is almost unparalleled. But I think it's a testament to the grit, the determination to say, hey, we got beaten on that point. But once you guys score, we'll go out and potentially get beaten again. We don't want it. We're going to work to make sure it doesn't happen. But we can handle that disappointment. We can handle that. What a pull from Whitlock. Is somebody counting?
Whitlock, Haberfield, and Robertson always competing for the longest, highest, furthest pull.
I think some of the defenders got bored chasing that down. It was a wonderful sight.
Taniwha with the disc now.
Mr. Reliable himself.
Another zone look here from Taniwha. Just keeping things slow, jamming it up a little. Joe Panaia has played against many a zone in his time. Expect him to control this and look for the right options.
I think it's a good thing for local phlebotomists that we can't put zone offense into a needle. Otherwise, Joe Panaia would have a lot of explaining to do when it comes to donating blood.
Right.
Taniwha maintaining a very tight zone here. Panaia finding a nice crack in the zone via an overhead look. But Taniwha quick to shut it down. Ooh, Joe having to get up big for that one.
Nice little blade over the top to hit that far sideline.
And Panaia very happy to be every other touch in this type of offense.
There's good patience here from the Barbarians side. At one point they'd worked all the way back into their own back of their end zone. Now they've worked it most of the way up the field.
Panaia, Mance.
Taiapa now on the near sideline as we see a downfield juke.
Will they keep this patience all the way to the end zone?
Or are they going to give the people what they want?
Oh, the hammered look is on. Even if it doesn't look like it's on, it's on.
Hammers are always on.
Oh. Wonderful take by Taiapa.
Come on, Manny, throw a hammer.
Oh,
And a great step to get past the mark and throw a cheeky little backhand upline on the forehand side of the field. Taiapa, excellent composure there on the toe of the end zone.
Happy Father's Day to Manny Taiapa if he's throwing dad backhands like that. It's going to be a 3-point game now. Taniwha up 8 over the Barbarians 5.
it wasn't a hammer, but there was a little spice on that. We'll take it.
Honestly, in a showcase game like this, it can be tough to just take those smart options all the way down the field. Maybe not as exciting as you'd like, but really it is valuable to both sides to make sure that on the big stages they know how to play clinical ultimate throughout a game. So now we have an 8-5 score line. Really not too big a spread. Barbarians still very much able to put some pressure onto the Taniwha.
Well, as you saw from the Hammertron Tawhut Muatia Dogma game earlier, the game's not over till it's over. Anything can happen. The Barbarians are still gelling, and they'll gel as this game goes on, and I expect them to be able to cook up some nice things as we get along. Taniwha will feel the pressure of expectation to win this. They are the New Zealand representative team. If they're not winning this, then why are they the New Zealand representative team?
A big high pull, this time even further into the trees by the Barbarians. They've really found their mark pulling that disc out of bounds. One of these days, though, if a breeze comes along, we might see some really good pulls out of there.
I mean, that's the peril, right? They keep sending the disc out to the car park. Maybe they're trying to give a signal that it's maybe time to go home. They want to rest the bodies before the third day of the tournament. Keep in mind, this is an exciting showcase. But tomorrow is the biggest day. We've still got some Opens and Women's Division games that we're really looking forward to bringing you.
Ben Waller connecting with Bruce Ing.
Holly Swinson.
Over to Swinson, back to Ing in the middle. Ing putting in a lot of work this point. Oh, Nick Whitlock coming back into the handler space. And once again, disc is safely in the hands of Bruce Ing, who's using his legs, covering a lot of ground on the field. And Richard Fernando catches the perfectly timed pass, perfectly weighted pass to the perfectly timed cut for an easy point for Ta.
And Fernando there showing why you need all 7 players on the field. He waited for his time. He got the glory. The hard work was laid down by the handlers and Bruce Ing, who moved the disc up the field very nicely. It's nice to have that option of Bruce Ing to be able to make that sort of play. You can roll out players like that who are able to go every second pass and keep the disc moving and really make the defense struggle. And then next point, you've got a new player out there doing exactly the same role.
Absolutely. Great benefit to having a deep roster.
And so now the score is 9-5. What a way to make a living. And there is no living quite like being here at Awakairangi Park to sit and watch a fantastic showcase game between New Zealand's Taniwha, our Open Division men's representative team that we'll be seeing on the world stage a little bit later on this year on the Gold Coast in Australia, facing off against the Barbarians, another team of an equivalently deep roster. Nick, you were talking about how a lot of these players are also playing on, was it Monica, the mixed team?
Yes, that is correct. Another very good team. The trials this year the selections were open for players to trial for any of the teams. So there was a lot of negotiation between which players were going to end up on which team. The roster, the top sort of 40 players, open players in New Zealand are all very, very good. And as you can see from the quality of this game.
Harrison Leach taking a big shot to Panay in the end zone. Will it trail out of bounds, or is Panay going to bring it in? He has towed that disc in.
He has scored it a long way outside of the field.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable to see. That's a great spirit by Titoff Smith to call that disc in, even though it was several meters out of bounds.
Well, I mean, it was in on a field, just maybe not the one that our lads are playing on at the moment. So it's going to be a turnover. It's going to give the Taniwha the disc. We see Ben Waller with center field receiving from Titoff Smith.
Looking off Michael Downey, but then finding another safe option in Tony Clark. Providing that upline threat, Ben Waller again. Struggling to get the disc out over to Haberfield, but doesn't in the end. Robertson making a great upline cut. He's got the momentum and finds Dan Aldridge in the underspace. Tony Clark making another timed cut perfectly. Now Robertson continuing the disc motion across the field, looking to attack the other side. A bouncy pass from Titoff Smith. Dan Aldridge brings it down under pressure. Amazing grab there. That throw from Titoff Smith is one of his specialties, putting so much bounce on it, bouncing that disc off that backhand, getting it all the way around the defender. No matter how tight that mark is, he is unfazed.
That was nice play from Taniwha. They worked it up nicely with a few open cuts and down the open side of the field, and then swung it across, not getting stuck with the disc in one area. Everyone working on the same page as to what they want to do offensively. Again, no big plays, a little bit less exciting. Good ultimate is a little bit less exciting.
I mean, that's the old saying. You'll hear that on the sideline in just about every tournament. Boring ultimate is what's going to win games. I think it's probably, to be charitable, as you say, Nick, it's not it's boring ultimate so much as it's clean ultimate. It might seem a little less exciting as a spectator. We don't see those same big shots, those big one-on-one matchups, the layout blocks, the huge skies. But we do see a huge amount of pace on display from these teams, particularly on offense. We see the scramble on defense, the attentiveness, the huge amount of mental focus to switch between them in the event of a turnover.
Now we do have a bit of a breeze picking up here at Awakairangi Park. So we'll see how both teams adjust. You might see a little bit more zone defense come out.
We may have moved up the scale to a 1 in Wellington wind
Could
terms.
be a 1.5 even on the gusts.
On the gusts. Now, a turnover from the Barbarians. A miscommunication there. Not reading what the player wanted. Taniwha have a chance to take a break and extend their lead.
And 10 minutes ago, that disc might have floated nicely for him, but just now as the breeze picks up, he put the wrong edge on it and had that wind push the disc into the dirt. Oh, an excellent shake in the downfield by Charles Patterson to get free, but Ben Waller opts for the upline instead.
Nice swing from Peter Bordsworth. Him and Waller have a nice little interplay going here, and keeping that good handler movement that Taniwha have shown throughout this game. And
Peter Hubin with a very in-character, opportunistic cut is going to get his first score of the day.
Being the right man at the right time.
And making 0 other cuts.
I mean, really, it's about the conservation of energy. He's got a long day of coaching ahead of him tomorrow after a phenomenal performance that, despite allegations of maybe staying up a little bit late and partying a little bit hard, saw he and some of his NAS teammates walk away with a gold medal of Division 2 Ultimate Championship finals in Christchurch just last week.
Now back to the better view.
I mean, that's it, right? 3 faces for radio lined up here in the commentary booth. But we are here to provide context, a little bit of information, your eyes and ears on the ground to talk you through this exciting showcase match.
Taniwha with the pull. Now it's Lockie Robertson's turn to show us what he's got in the holster.
Can he outdo the trees that the Barbarians have been hitting?
He sends a high. It's a bit shorter than he would have liked, but the hang time is there, and the defense is already set when that disc lands.
And I mean, hey, inbounds is inbounds.
Crosby making a nice cut. Finding his upfield receiver.
Miller Mercer with a little bit of shake and bake in the upfield space.
Barbarians really trying to find a way to crack through the tight match defense of the Taniwha. They may be happy swinging it back in the handler space, but at some point they will have to go forward if they're going to score. Unfortunately, that forward throw is a little too costly.
Crosby takes a tumble, but he can't keep it off the turf.
Lee Yo now sends the disc to Nick Whitlock. Always good for keeping his eyes open on the spicier options downfield.
Oh,
huge bid, huge bid. Nearly got it. Owen's son giving him a little pat on the shoulder.
and a spike in the face.
And a spike in the face. Yep, that's just good friendship right there.
Well, I mean, New Zealand has a bit of a reputation internationally. Our spirit is at our best when we are losing. Being up by 6, Owen Sun maybe getting a little bit spicy with that one. We can only hope that it's all in good fun. A great work by Taniwha to put that one away. We're going to see Barbarians come out on offense again.
There may be a few conversations between group teammates tonight after this game. Friendly, obviously.
Maybe a change of sleeping arrangements just to make sure there's no violence in the night. This isn't Macbeth, folks.
Taniwha will be feeling like they've been achieving what they've set out to achieve here in this showcase game. They've got a bit of a comfortable lead, I'd say. Might mean we start to see some of those looser options come out as they get a little more comfortable.
I feel like the crowd is not really egging them on quite enough to see what they want. we may need someone to rev up the crowd and push them into those things.
Haberfield with the pull. It's a quick one. Sailing pretty far into the end zone. Fielded bravely by the Barbarians.
Hamilton with the throw.
Over to Harrison Leach. Oh. Unfortunately, just to the inside shoulder of Finn McKenzie, where Ben Waller was waiting. Always an anticipatory type of player. Ben Waller is you got to be ready for him sniffing out those slight imperfections in your throw. Looks like we have a pick called in the field. Took Richard Fernando quite a while to recognize that.
I don't know if he's used to seeing stagnant offense in front of him, or that's, a little bit tired at the end of the day. But everyone had stopped moving.
Finds the shot he was looking for anyways, and a nice around break there. Oh, there's that hammer we've been looking for, but in this case, it was definitely the right option. Finds his way past his mark.
Yeah, Ben Waller with the tasty hammer at the line for the score.
Maybe a little late in the piece, but the excitement is still on display here at Awakarangi Park.
Beautiful play going out of the sun into the shade, and at the end of this lovely day.
There we saw the hammer go over the mark of Finn McKenzie. And got a beautiful view of Peter Hubens back.
Now, I wonder if we can see anything different from the Barbarians. I wonder what Coach Troy Stevenson has been telling them. He's full of good words, many words. A very experienced player, maybe less experienced as a coach, but as a motivator, he's one of the best in New Zealand. I hope he's done some good motivation in the previous few minutes.
We're seeing a different kind of pull out of Taniwha, that bladey look, really intimidating the catch, and they're definitely going to let that hit the ground first.
Mercer quick to respond, though, getting things moving.
It looks like we are seeing that zone look. A massive huck to two speedy receivers. Who's going to take it for the Barbarians? He's gone. He may never come back. Once you get up to those kinds of speeds, it's better to not slow down.
Breaks are for handlers, right? Call it there, folks. That's going to probably be the end of the match. The standing back tuck. Oh, you've got to be kidding.
The representative out of Otago, making his region look very, very good.
So if he hadn't scored that point, we would not have got to see that, and that would have made our days infinitely worse. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine him doing a backflip after he'd missed the catch? Why?
Almost more gutsy. I would have loved to see it.
It was a beautiful throw there by Miller Mercer.
Look at just like from a sheer technical perspective, the amount of arm drive, the knee lift, like if you find a textbook on sprinting, you could just about trace the diagrams from that book over that cut into the deep space. Just absolutely phenomenal. Now, Nick, be honest, how many times do you think he practiced that backflip specifically to bring it to some point at this tournament?
I would hope more than once.
Hearing the crowd chant backflip after he scored makes me think it's not the first time he's whipped it out.
And hopefully not the only time in this game.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what we really like to see, people whipping it out on stream. Peter Borsworth with the disc now marked by Rory Moore.
Robertson and Haberfield in the backfield, and a big sniff by
Cam Bennett,
Bennett,
great
thank you.
layout there. Wasn't quite enough to generate a turn.
Taniwha looking for a big deep shot of their own. Tyler Titoff-Smith looking very comfortable running onto that one. Haberfield, well known for perfectly placed throws. And another one. Titoff able to leave from quite deep in the field because Haberfield just has such pace on his throws that he'll easily be able to get it to Titoff in time before his defender catches up.
Absolutely. Just the sheer whip off that one. A real fastball right to the end zone. Even able to slow down into the catch to kind of control it. He still had plenty of separation. Will Hamilton wasn't really going to be able to make a play, which is just a fantastic combination there as Taniwha go to 14 over the Barbarians 6.
And there's Titoff-Smith readying his hands about 6 strides ahead of the disc.
No backflip, though.
So you got to say, was it a good catch?
I mean, that's a very, very good question. I mean, he was able to get into a great position for a very, very fast disc, but he didn't do a backflip. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
The crowd is still sitting now. They're not on their feet. He hasn't played it up. He hasn't taken his moment.
He's going to wish he celebrated that one a little bit harder later.
Absolutely.
Those are the kinds of things you regret at the end of the day.
And one thing I have to say about that throw, most coaches would say that's a bad option unless you're Liam Haberfield, because there are very few players in New Zealand who can pull it off with that speed to throw the player open from that distance. It's nice to have him on your side. I'll say that much.
Yeah, always better to be playing with him than against him.
Whitlock not able to calibrate his pull and has unfortunately sent it just outside the back of the end zone. A nice problem to have as far as range goes, but ultimately going to end up with the Barbarians taking the disc in at the brick mark.
I would like to know what he had for breakfast.
String beans, probably.
No, that's what he's made of. Similar question, but we're going to see Elliot Mance now in the upfield space.
Taniwha playing tight match defense. And Barbarians doing an excellent job of making them work. Another great throw into the end zones. Passed with a completion. Great reception. And once again, the Barbarians are running off into the distance with the disc.
Cooper taking a bit of a lap. the attempt. You know what? I'll take it.
The Barbarians are definitely winning the crowd game in this.
Rule 1, you gotta give the people what they want.
That throw excellently shaped to get it around Haberfield instead of trying to chop Haberfield in half like we've seen before. The throw that goes around your defender is going to be generally a bit more successful.
Given the relative safety of trying to go through them, as we saw Charles Patterson do a little bit earlier on in the game. Great to see Barbarians use that one to full effect. The score, 14-7 in favor of our national representative squad, the Taniwha in the open division.
Taniwha taking a little bit of time on the line to set their offensive line here. Clearly shaken. And Barbarians are ready to pull.
Big pull from Tristan Mercer. Lovely floating into the end zone.
A lot of hang time. Cam Bennett hustling to get down there and stopping even the first throw.
Great work by Bennett. Such good foot speed. A leading
Mercer
shot
with the huge play.
Absolutely amazing read on that play. Gets horizontal and comes up with a huge block for the Barbarians, very close to the end zone.
not gonna let Fernando have it, as we see Taniwha, Mr. Consistency himself, facing off against Kitty.
Can he shake him to get the point as well and earn himself some bookends? No, it looks like he's going to have a collision in the stack with his own player, and one of his teammates will pick up the slack.
A little bit of Hamiltron connection. We didn't get to see as much as we would have liked in that Hamiltron Dogma game, as they squeaked out that 2-point or 3-point victory. But Will Hamilton to Manny Taiapa for the score for the Barbarians. Looks like that is going to be our 1 hour cap. That looks like it's going to bring us to the end of the game. Fantastic performance by both of these teams here at Awakairangi Park.
A lot of highlights. It's been a great matchup, and hopefully some really great training exercise for the Taniwha as they, ready for their campaign to the world stage.
It's a great demonstration of the quality of New Zealand Ultimate at the moment. Really enjoyable. Great crowd out here. Fantastic weather. Just a great place to be.
And that will conclude our open showcase to finish off the second day of our streaming coverage for the 2024 Division 1 New Zealand Ultimate Championships. My name is Blair Monroe.
I am Austin Clark.
And I am Nick Panu.
What a pleasure it has been to have you gentlemen in the booth with us today, as we're brought to you by ULTI.TV to bring you the very best coverage in New Zealand, Australia, and around the world. If you like what you see, head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV and give us your spare change. But until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member
and
and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
ULTI.TV.